You know, there were so many memorable moments on our trip. Again, seeing the Sea of Galilee for the first time was a huge deal. Extending southward from the Sea of Galilee is the Jordan River. And one of the most memorable moments was going into the Jordan River to get to baptize, I think 17 people who were being baptized to reaffirm their faith and to be baptized in the same body of water, the same river in which Jesus was baptized. That was really pretty surreal because there were a lot of people there, a lot of Christians from all around the world. And so what you're hearing is people sing songs that the melody sounds familiar, but the words are in a different language, but they're singing to the same God. And so it was such a beautiful thing to see people literally from all over the world professing faith in Jesus Christ right there in the Jordan River. So that was a phenomenal moment.
Well,
I will tell it. 42 people went. One person had their suitcase left in London, and that was me. So when we got in, they all had to wait until we filled out papers and so forth. So our bunch got in Tel Aviv late at night. So we didn't get to go to the Mediterranean Sea or anything. Next morning, up at 6, and away we went.
It's just a beautiful place. You hear, all of the bad on the news, but it is a beautiful country and the people are kind and, our bus driver, we would thank our bus driver, because he would do little things for us and he would say, it's done in love.
well, it had never really been high on my bucket list. I love to travel. We traveled a lot together. And actually it was because of the church going and Jeff going. When I saw it, my husband passed away 2 years ago, and I still wanted to travel, and I finally found a lady who would travel with me and had a roommate, so we just pursued this trip, and mainly because the church was going.
It was really surprising. I think at everybody's point in life, we have a different way of communicating with God. And God showed me that this was the right time because I was in between grandkids and in between taking care of my parents. So right in between, this was a time for me and him. So it was really kind of special the way he kind of brought all that around. Because I didn't expect it, obviously. Who wants to travel 12 hours, right? You just, don't want to get on a plane that you've never done or never gone, and all of a sudden you're on a plane for 12 hours with 42 people.
My husband and I had decided probably 3 or 4 years ago that when we turned 40, we wanted to go to Israel. And so we, over the course of a couple of years, talked about it back and forth, and this would be cool and this would be cool and we could go with this group or that group or whatever, and just kind of consistently talked about the desire to go. And unfortunately, in 2021, he passed away. And so he was 39 years old, didn't hit that 40 mark. But when I turned 40, I just started feeling this desire to fulfill that. And so I had begun reaching out to different groups I felt comfortable with, and had no idea that there was a local group going, and just by chance came across this group and started praying about it and thinking about it. I had known Pastor Reynolds for years and trusted him and his guidance and thought, this could be really cool. I don't know anybody else that's going, but no matter what group I went with, I probably wouldn't. And so after a lot of prayer, things kind of started falling into place, and I decided to just go for it, and it was really remarkable.
It reminded us that, we're not the only ones that love Jesus here in Bowling Green or in Kentucky or in America, because there were people from all over the world, and it was kind of uplifting because you don't always get a good vision in your head of what's going on in other parts of the world. So.
I loved every minute of it. I thought seeing Jerusalem and Bethlehem and all the other sites were very, very special.
When we went into Bethlehem, the guide there immediately said, I am a Christian and I want to give my testimony, and he did. He was a very, very outstanding Christian. And we found a lot of the people there had a very strong Christian faith. And what I mean, it's not an easy place to live. When you look at a map and you see little Jerusalem and little Israel down there, it's just a white spot. And the rest of it, all the way over into Asia, Africa, and several countries in Europe are all Muslim. So when these people have a real testimony and stand up as being Christians, they're taking a lot of faith.
I think more than anything, it was just that reconnection and seeing the things that we've heard about all of our life in Sunday school or at church. It was there right in front of us, things that you just don't think about seeing. And it's amazing because everything is built on top of everything else. So we actually were able to go, like at the Western Wall, we were able to go down in the tunnels and see the original parts of the Western Wall and the roads. And at one of the churches, we were, I believe it was the Church of the Nativity, we were able to see the original floor and then go down into the cave where they believe Jesus was born. And so that was amazing to see all of that history and biblical history come to life.
It felt different, but I was welcomed. I mean, I've traveled enough with that experience. I'm on an alert anyway. Our guide in Israel was excellent as far as security and just keeping us safe and together.
We were fortunate to have tour guides and local personality riding the bus with us and going to the sites, and he was full of history and artifactual information about every place, and he was very congenial, and so it was nice to hear the talk by an Israeli.
I learned about all the negative that happens in history and in the Bible. It still happens today. God is still the same today as he was 6,000 years ago. And he's going to pull us through, and sometimes it's going to be hard. But he's there to see us on the other side no matter what.
You know, I jokingly say that the Bible went from a cartoon to real life. But it is true. I mean, I didn't really grow up in church. I didn't really have all the Bible stories as a kid. And so what I have learned and what I do know, you kind of go back to that bright, colorful Noah's Ark or whatever, but it became so real. It was just being in the places that the disciples were, that Christ was. I mean, just seeing where Herod, built his kingdoms and just all of these things that you hear about, it just became reality. And so for that, I think it's just this reassurance that God's word is true and it's real.
Having now been there, I would absolutely encourage anyone to go. Every night, because of the time difference, I knew that I would get to talk to my wife at about 9 o'clock at night because that was analogous to her lunch hour here. So I would go out in Jerusalem and just walk. And usually between 9 and 11 o'clock at night, I'm walking around the city of Jerusalem, and there was not a single time where I felt unsafe. In fact, I've been walking around cities in the United States at that time where I felt much more unsafe than I did there. So many families around, so many kids. I mean, it's an unbelievable place. So I never felt unsafe. They take tourism very seriously because tourism is a big source of income for them as we come and we pay for hotels and meals and souvenirs and all those sorts of things. So there's actually laws on the books over there that even if you clip a tourist as they're crossing a street, it's a $1,000 fine. Now, not so much if they're not a tourist. You still have a fine, and you still shouldn't do it. But they said they take tourism very, very seriously to the degree that they want to protect the tourists and all those sorts of things. So never felt unsafe, and I would encourage anyone, certainly believers in Jesus, but even if you're still on the fence about Jesus, go.
Especially in a group. I mean, like I said, I don't really like, that's kind of not the way I normally try to travel. This is one of those places I would go with a group. But if you think you can physically make it, and we had all different abilities, all different ages go on this trip. I'm not in the best shape. I made it. I would say go if you can.
Go, absolutely go. Just G-O, go. Go. And take some good walking shoes.
I truly would like to go back.
I gained a lot of information from the trip and a great deal of joy from seeing it.
Just put it on your list and go. I cannot encourage you enough to go because it's a trip you'll never get over.
I'm just thankful for all the people that were with us, all the new friends I made, and Pastor Jeff made it extra special.
Having been to the Holy Land and expecting that it would be an amazing trip, having now been there, I can see not only how amazing it is from a historical perspective, but how amazing it is for a right now perspective. It is faith shaping and faith enriching in ways that I did not expect. And so, Lord willing, I am going back, and I would like you to go with me. If you're watching this video, even if you've been before, you've never been before, you're on the fence, come with me and let's walk in these places where these great characters that we've studied all our lives, that we've heard about all our lives, let's walk where they walked, and let's allow God to work in our lives now just as powerfully as He worked in their lives then. So I want to invite you to come, be a part of this trip to the Holy Land, and let God speak to your heart in fresh and new and life-changing ways.